Hi, everybody. Again, super excited. A second nominee. We've got Craig Young here with Crossroads Technologies Consulting Group. And I'm super excited, Craig. I read your entire bio. I read your responses to some of our questions and also what people had to say about you who nominated you. And I'm excited you're here. Why
Well,
don't you
thank you.
tell us a little about your company and how you got started and, your involvement with women businesses and why it's important to you?
Okay. Well, my company, we're a consulting group in IT. We do focus on telecom, and I won't dig any deeper than that. But that's kind of what we do at a super high level.
Okay.
What involved, so the thing about women in business, especially, and I'll try and keep this brief. When I was young, my mother and father were divorced, and I watched my father take literally everything,
Mm,
and my mom had to support us three kids. And it didn't take very long as you get older, and you're trying to make it, paycheck to paycheck, right? That's what she had to do, right? And it was ironic when I was a teenager to see just how unfair the pay was. And I don't think it's as bad now as it was back in the 70s, right?
yeah.
But in the 70s, a woman could do a job and get paid literally about half of what they'd pay a man to do the exact same job. And I'd even see times when they'd have her come in and train a guy
Oh,
to do a job, and while he was being trained, he was already making more money than her, and it was just it was shocking. Um, and it was a company that had a very, I don't want to give the company away, it would be wrong, but it was a company that had a very high standard.
okay.
Um, we could even, I would say religious, even you could say. So it's shocking to see it in that environment. Not that, you know, it should be the same standard, but I think we all hold certain things to a higher standard. But I saw that as a teenager, and then my wife Michelle, who got me into telecom. I was a newspaper salesperson, selling advertising in the local paper back in Virginia, recruitment, and papers were dying, and
Yeah.
so the industry was, and I'm like, look, I'm not ready to retire yet, and so I pivoted to technology, which technology doesn't die, it just changes. As long as you're willing to adapt, you'll always have a place in technology somewhere.
For sure.
But in technology, and especially telecom, it is very much a man-dominated field,
Yeah.
right? And it was kind of a flashback to what I saw back in the 70s and early 80s, where I'm like, am I in a time capsule? Do I go back in time? You know, and so telecom's a great profession for all walks of life,
Yeah.
sex, religion, race. So it's a great industry for everyone. It's for everyone.
Yeah.
But I will say it is very male dominated,
Why
right?
do you think that is? I would agree with you. My husband's
Mm,
IT, and when I go to his office, there was one girl that was actually in like the knock in that area, but then the other girl was like the office manager.
you
And
know, I I don't honestly know because I have met some impressive women
Mhm.
that were could run circles around uh run circles around a man while I watched the man still get a promotion that the woman probably should have got. You know, you know, the only thing I can think of is, men started that field, and I think it's a good old boys network, very much so. So they bring in, their friend, their brother, their friend's friend, and
Mm,
so I think I don't think it's intentional.
yeah.
I think it's how the industry propagated itself over time, right? And because it is tech stuff and uh, IT stuff is typically behind the scene. Like, when you go to a company, you don't go, "Ooh, I want to go to the IT department, see what they're doing in there." Like, you see the
See,
sales department,
yeah.
right? And so
I
I
was
think,
wondering that if it's more so because that's like behind, like you said, behind the scenes, working in a cubicle or an office, you're not really front and center. There's not a lot of chatting and all of that, I
yeah,
suppose, besides just the group, right?
yeah, it's behind the curtain, right? And no one knows where the entrance is behind the curtain. So they just see a curtain, they just walk on by and go down the hall and make a left at the door, right? Which is like sales department, accounting, all the, other things you would,
Mhm.
expect to see in a business, right? So I think that has probably something to do with it, you know.
Okay.
Um, if I had to take a quick stab at it,
Yeah, yeah. So how do you integrate that when you guys, because you started your company with your wife or,
Mhm.
okay. So when you guys decided to start your company, what do you think you're doing differently to really try to foster and encourage females in the field?
Well, I think what we do primarily is a lot of word of mouth. So I mentioned a minute ago about how, um, and I have to, give my wife some credit. My wife a lot of the credit on this actually. She's involved in a lot of groups,
Yeah.
and so the curtain works both ways, right? So I'm in the IT side. The other groups that she's involved with, they're kind of behind a curtain too. I mean, from a man perspective, right?
Okay.
So, Michelle's kind of bridged that gap. Oh, really? What's this group? Oh, really? Well, I know so and so, right? And obviously we're an equal opportunity employer, but obviously I want to foster people that want to learn and grow. And, you know, right now I don't feel there's as much uh there's a lot of good candidates out there that are women, right? And they just need to have someone show them, hey, did you know there's this opportunity? Are you aware of this? Are you aware of
Yeah.
that? And so we really try to foster that as much as we can, right? And mentor to that. Um, we have several people on board right now. They're doing a phenomenal job and they're growing exponentially every day in both their knowledge, their skill, their business acumen. And it's been a great thing to watch. But I mean, like I said, anything we can do to kind of help that along. Because like I said, when I saw in the 70s and early 80s, I was shocked when I got into the year 2000. I'm like, did I just go back in time? Like,
Yeah.
another industry, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've gone back 20 years, right? So anything we can do to kind of, you know, bring the time closer together, I think is a good,
Well,
a
I
good
appreciate
thing.
that. I know a lot of women appreciate that. And it takes someone like you to recognize that to help encourage and foster that. Whether you bring a female in, like say your wife's out there really trying to bridge that gap. I think that's important. And the simple
Yeah,
fact that you recognize that is amazing. Not a lot of people have or do. And it's not probably always by choice. Like you said, you just kind of came in and you're like, wow, you had awareness around it because of your history and your mom and seeing that. Not a lot of people have that. So it's not an intentional fault a lot of times. It's just something that needs to happen, right? I'm
right.
sure you're aware because, like 1988, if you think back, your mom was in the 70s watching her with that. 1988, up until that date, your mom wouldn't have even been allowed to start her own business and
Yeah,
get loans and stuff without a man signing, right? She's
no,
been like, son, sign up with me. It's crazy, right?
yeah. And I won't elaborate on this too much because it's kind of too close to home. And I saw Michelle go through some um trials through her
Okay.
career. I'm not going to
Yeah.
label or give it any detail, I will say this. I saw similar injustices done to my own wife, which is much more recent, much more hitting closer to home,
Okay.
you know. So
Yeah.
it is a thing, right? I mean, there's
Yeah.
all this today, there's so much talk about everything, but the fact of the matter is things happen that shouldn't happen,
Yeah.
right? And we can't be there to catch them all and correct them all, but we can have a positive attitude and we can do things to positively, you know, change the course of the water to go a different direction, right?
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, right?
I agree. And I appreciate you and I appreciate Michelle's efforts in that. And, I'm grateful you're here. I can't wait to see you at the event. I'm very excited and get to meet you. So, hey, it's so good to see you. Is there anything you want to tell us about your company that we should know that's cool, that's happening coming up? Anything exciting?
Well, we have our Napa event where we bring in a lot of our larger clients and we do a 2-day education on different suppliers and things that are changing in the industry.
Okay.
Um, IT people don't have a lot of time they don't have the time they should have to stay, up to speed on all the emerging technologies and things that are changing in the industry.
Yeah.
And, when I was younger, a computer could last you 4 years. Now a computer is outdated in like 18 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everything is just moving super, super fast. And in IT, they're typically understaffed, underpaid, and overworked. That's a typical IT environment.
Yeah. I
Um,
absolutely agree with you.
and so we try and put this together for our, CIOs and IT managers to come out and learn about emerging technologies, what's changing. So we have that happening in May, and then but honestly, all I want from my company is, we've made it a practice to make sure we sit on the same side of the table as our clients to
Okay.
help them navigate technologies, contract negotiations, pricing negotiations. So this is something that we do every day. So we're very well versed in what's changing, what's happening, what you can do now, you couldn't do before.
Yeah.
And we literally are an advisor to the client to help them make the best choice possible. So
Awesome. I love that. And again, thank you for being here. I'm very excited and I can't wait to see how it goes. And again, can't wait to meet you on the 10th of May. I appreciate you and
well,
thanks for being here.
thank you so much. Pleasure, Susie.